Well, we're moving forward in our prayer journey, preparing for Pentecost and praying for power. And today I want to talk about pouring out our hearts. It's part of seeking God. It's part of the real earnest searching after God. In fact, on Sunday when I preached, I talked about that part of seeking God is this act of faith, and that it really is an act of faith to pour out your heart to God and to reveal yourself to Him as you're searching for Him. In fact, there's a great psalm in Psalm 106, Psalm 62, verse 8, and it says like this: "O my people, trust in Him at all times. Pour out your heart to Him, for God is our refuge." So pour out. The psalmist is saying, come to God, trust Him by opening up everything about yourself to Him. I find that people are surprised when they're in a search for God, in a quest. And their minds, it's easy for us to think it's about asking, asking, asking. And I just want to constantly press and ask the same thing over and over, which that is part of diligent pursuing and relentless praying. But you're going to also find that the Holy Spirit's going to draw out of you what's in you. It's as though he's saying, "Well, wait, you're looking after me. You're coming after me. Well, you want me to open up my heart to you. Why don't you open up your heart to me too?" Well, that seems like not a fair trade. I'm aware that if I open up my heart, there's a lot of ugly there. There's a lot of things that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to mention. And yet God is saying, no, I want to see that. I want you to open up your heart to me. And that opening up your heart involves being honest. And you can only honest when you're trusting. In other words, if you're going to open up the secrets of your heart, it's going to be to someone that you really trust, that you can be transparent with, and that they'll love you anyways, and that they'll love you maybe even more as you really are honest with who you are. That's all that God is asking. He's asking it as a way of a sacrifice, that you come to Him saying, Lord, I want you to reveal yourself to me. I want you to pour your Spirit out to me. And I'm laying my heart out to you. What gets poured out? Usually it's things like you're angry, your disappointments, your what you want, what you're crying out for. We have the story of the blind man Bartimaeus who was crying out to God, and that's literally what he did. He raised his voice loudly and he said, "God, I need you. Have compassion on me. Have mercy on me." That was a form of heart pouring out. That's the urgency of my need. It could be grieving that you haven't been able to really let go of disappointment or sorrow or a loss. It could be that there's unbelief that you're struggling with. There's failure that you're wanting to not face. These are the kinds of things that the Holy Spirit goes after as part of the prelude, the drawing you to Jesus in this time of searching for His Holy Spirit. So don't be surprised that the Holy Spirit may have already uh, got ahead of you and is already pulling this out of you before you ever realized that's what he was doing. And what does it look like? What does it look like when I pour my heart out to God? Well, it can look like weeping. It could look like uh, poetry. It could look like writing things like journaling that you can't put into words. It could be literally groaning. Paul talked about the groanings of the Spirit within him as he couldn't put it into words, and how the Holy Spirit helped him do that. And so that's my challenge to you, my encouragement. It's a challenging encouragement that you would open up your heart, pour your heart out to God as part of your seeking after Him, as you're preparing for the infilling afresh of the Holy Spirit. Father, open up our hearts. Help us do that. Help us open up and with honesty and transparency and with trust, pour our hearts out to you so that you can fill it with your presence. Fill our hearts with your joy, with the power of your Holy Spirit.